Alright guys, if you can hear me, we're going to try to make another quick video. Never turns out quick though, does it? Some lights on. It's probably better. I have a 2006 fifth wheel Rampage toy hauler. There you go. There's the garage back there. The bedroom slide doesn't operate. It just sounds like it's clutching. Let's take a look at it. The customer already was nice enough to take the mattress off of here. So if I go to run it out, if you can hear that, if I go to run it in, it makes the same noise. So I'm going to suspect it's the gearbox on this thing. Let's tear it apart and see what we got. Obviously the first thing I have to do is get access to it. So I'm going to take the struts off and then this lower platform, and then we'll check back with it. So I got the struts out of the way. I pulled all the trim that was actually holding it down. I just have to pull the panel out of the way. Sometimes it's hard to grab this paneling because they don't give you anything, so sometimes you can just put a screw back in place. Not screwed in all the way, but you can use it as a handle. There we go. Now we can take a look at what's going on. Oh. So there it is. There's the slide out motor. You got the gearbox right there. This is technically a linear actuator. So it's just going to... Motor turns the gearbox in here, which turns a big worm gear, I believe, right up in there. So I can try to do it manually and see if I can crank it out manually, but I suspect this gearbox... that clutching sound you hear is actually a normal sound. It literally is clutching. So if you hear that sound when it's running in or out all the way, that's normal. Just let off on the switch. But from what I understand, the customer ran the slide out in. It worked just fine. And then he couldn't run it back out again. So let's just see if it's jammed up. Maybe it's just clutched too hard. Alright, so what I'll do is I'll run the switch so we can kind of see what the motor is doing currently. Go out. Well, I think we're going to have to recommend a new motor. So this is actually the gearbox right here. You don't have to trade the entire actuator. But let me tear into this a little bit more. I'll take this wood frame off so I can at least get to those bolts anyways. Make sure that the actuator isn't jammed. Okay, now with that out of the way, I have put a socket on here. Let's see if we can do it better this way. Looks like I'm moving. Okay. Let's see if the switch works now. Looks like it does. So I bring it all the way in. Alright, so if I bring it all the way in until it ratchets or clutches out, it binds up again. So it looks like the clutch back in there is bad. So I'm going to recommend a new motor assembly. I guess that's good. Bad? Indifferent? We'll find out. Let's put a new one in. Just takes that bolt, and then the two wires. Because this is geared like that, there's no brake on it. Alright, let's see what the customer wants to do. Alright, I guess I want to go ahead and do it. I didn't tell you, this is a 5/8 nut right there. That doesn't come with the new motor. Just pop that off. Don't lose that. Alright. Looks like, what do you think, 9/16 or 1/2 inch? Oh, I said 9/16, so it's 1/2 inch. Alright, there's the other one. There it is. Now you can see the worm gear inside there that drives. And let's see, I got this as the part number there, 18-to-1 ratio. Let's see if we can't get a replacement on that. Looks like the clutch on this is just worn out. Sometimes they have like a thrust bearing in there and like it's jammed in there. I wish I was an engineer. I could explain things better to you. Seems to me like these probably shouldn't break as often as they do. You should get 10,000 cycles, duty cycles, before you have an issue with this. And I can't imagine this slide's been ran out 10,000 times. Just trying to do the math. Even if you did it once a day, that's only 365 times in a year. Yeah, I'm talking like 100 years. This should get quite a number of duty cycles, but for whatever reason they don't. In my rant. Alright guys, well here it is. The customer did go ahead and authorize it. Let's get that out of the way. Look at that. They're calling it a Venture actuator motor, 18-to-1. There's your part number. It's an expensive little bugger. They should be proud of this thing. About $500 for that guy. Looks like a direct replacement, you might call it. Let me get this put back together and we'll test it out and see if it works. It's a really straightforward job. It's just 2 wires, 2 bolts. The biggest part of this job has been tearing the bed apart. I don't know why they didn't have a cutout hole for getting to that motor easily. I think the hardest part about this job is that little roll pin right there. Let's see if we can't take a look at it right there on the drive. Needs to match up with that guy right there. So see if we can't make it match up. There it is, matched up. Well, that was the hardest part, guys. There's 1 bolt. There's 2 bolts. What did we say that was? 1/2 inch or 9/16? It was 1/2 inch. Why'd you grab a 9/16? Oh, that was hard. Looks like I already cut the wires on this. Let's see which one was going to red. I think it was red to red. Oh, it was red to red and green to green. Can't ever assume things like that. You know what would have happened? Would have gone out when I wanted it to go in, and would have gone in when I wanted it to go out, because this is 12 volt. So all you do is reverse polarity to change the direction of the motor. Alright, let me do this two-handed and I'll be right back. Alright, so there it is installed. Wired up. Ooh, I gotta take that phone call. Alright, well that's done. Let's get this. The last thing we gotta do is gonna be put this guy back on. It goes easier if you put it on the right way. That's just the manual crank. And I drop the cotter pin right here. And we'll get my important hammer. There you go. Every tool's a hammer, they say. Let's see if this works. Alright, so we got that all installed. Let's see if we can run it out. There we go. Let's run it in all the way so it ratchets. There you go. It's not binding up anymore. All I have to do now is put the bed back together and this job is done. Alright guys, so there you have it. Slide out room, actuator motor, replacement 18-to-1 gear ratio on a Venture slide motor. It was just jamming up when it was running in. That's how you replace it out, and actually might have been an easier job. Fantastic. Thanks for watching.